All right, hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the Connect and Snowflake partnership and how you can easily share your data from Connect with Snowflake. First, a little bit about me. My name is Jessica Rammo. I'm on the Product Readiness Guild in our R&D department. I've worked with AVEVA for just over 10 years now. Started in tech support, made my way over to the team I'm in now. And what we do is we work with our customers on Lighthouse programs, which is basically our formalized early adopter program. So I work with a lot of customers on Connect and also look forward to working with customers on this Snowflake partnership. So a quick agenda of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about just in general what is the Connect and Snowflake integration and what it can do. Then we're going to jump into some demos. I'll talk about data views, which is kind of like the foundation of how it starts. Then we'll actually look at doing a demo of creating a virtual table and seeing it in Snowflake. And then we'll talk a little bit about, okay, let's see if you have some forecasts and information that you've gotten back from Snowflake. How can we write that back to Connect and maybe back to your on-prem systems? So I don't know if you guys were in the Connect roadmap earlier. Just happened maybe about half an hour ago. So with Connect, there's some exciting things coming, including this Snowflake integration. And some of the kind of main key pillars of that is we're going to have a new Connect unified experience. There's going to be an industrial knowledge graph, which can organize your assets and entities into a graph structure with relationships and some new capabilities. And we're talking about one of those today. There's a early access that's starting soon in July, and I'll have a slide at the end if you want to scan that QR code to get sign up and have interest to that early access program. But we're doing the larger launch in early 2027, so that's when we can expect these features to come for everyone. And I should say as well, I'm going to be showing all of this new stuff in these demos today. All right, so what is the Connect and Snowflake integration? So on the left here, we have kind of like what you might have seen before. And I'll also mention, like, this is very similar to what we have had for the past year or so with Databricks, and now that's coming to Snowflake. So maybe in the past, if you wanted to bring your data into Snowflake, maybe from one of your historians or from Connect, kind of had to do some custom development or create some custom pipelines. And that usually involved like a copy of the data from those historians or Connect up into Snowflake. And some of the problems I've seen customers run into with that is then they have to manage those pipelines and they have to handle that copy. And like, what if you have some recalculation or you do some backfill or some of that data in the past changes? That can be really hard to manage and keep up to date. Also, if that pipeline breaks, you're in charge of doing that troubleshooting, and that can take a lot of time. So that's a big pain point for some customers. And then thirdly, every time you want to add new data up into Snowflake, you probably have to configure a new pipeline or make a new solution for it. So it takes time. You have to, every time you want to add new data, it's an extra lift for you guys. So what we have now or coming soon is a seamless integration that without any code, you can share your data from Connect into Snowflake, and it's a zero copy for you. So you set up this integration based on data views, based on virtual tables, and it'll automatically share your data to Snowflake through Delta sharing. And so when you're in Snowflake, you'll see that live data from Connect, but it hasn't been copied, and it automatically handles all of that. Like if there's any backfills or changes in your data, it's going to update that for you, and you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And also, if you want to add like new stuff, you want to scale up, it's just a matter of adding more virtual tables to the environment, which is a few clicks. You don't have to do all that extra pipeline work. So let's talk about like the details, the technicals of how this actually looks and how this works. So the virtual tables workflow, I kind of mentioned it already. It starts with a data view. And that's a way in Connect to organize your stream and entity data into a structured view. And that's not just for virtual tables. That can be, if you want to query your data via API, it makes it available to you in a structured table. But then once you have your data view, you create a virtual table, which then exposes your data via a share to an external party like Databricks, or in this case, Snowflake. And that share creates the connection between Connect and that third-party analytics platform. So it'll create that connection between Connect and Snowflake. So let's jump into some details about all of those steps. So like I said, data views is a way to deliver shaped data that's ready for consumption. It's normalized, aligned, and contextualized. And again, it's a no-code click, and you can configure your data view exactly the way you want. And it allows you to create subsets of data. So you're not necessarily sending all of your data. You're going to create a specific query that tells you exactly what data you want to put in this data view and what you want to share. And again, this is the first step to the integration. So let's jump into a demo of creating a data view. So I'm starting in the knowledge graph, and I'm just showing some of my entities and assets that I have. So I have a wind farm here that has several wind farm assets. All of these are wind turbines. We've got GEO1, and we can see that this entity here has a bunch of stream relationships, which represent the underlying data that belong to this wind turbine. Now I have a second set of data here. I have a truck fleet, and under this truck fleet, I have a bunch of trucks. And again, for each of these trucks, I have some stream relationships showing all of my live data that is related to these trucks. So I'm going to make use of this entity model to create my data view. We have a bunch of these created already for this mining data and this power data, but let's create a new one and just kind of show you how these were built. So I'm going to give my data view a name. This one's going to be about those haul trucks. I'll give it a description, and then I'm going to create a query, and this is going to design what subset of data I want. I'm going to choose to query my entity store, which is those groups of turbines or trucks, and I'm going to give it a query. So in this case, I'm saying name starts with truck 1, and that is going to match all of my trucks in my entity store. And as you can see, it pulls up all of those trucks in a list, and I can say, yep, that's the data I want to send. Let's create this data view. Now I want to determine what data fields from these trucks do I want to include. So I'm going to do a quick filter here and look for all my values. And this can be stream relationships, but it can also be static metadata on these entities. Here I'm going to grab just all of the stream relationships related to these trucks and apply. Then I'm going to get a preview on the right here, and it's going to show kind of a tabular view that we've just created. And we can edit this and make it into a different view if we want, but actually the default that came up is perfect for me. I've got data from all my trucks for every timestamp, and each column represents a single stream time series data. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and there you go. I have a data view, and I'm ready to share that view of my trucks with Snowflake. So let's go to the next step. So the next step, like I said, is creating a virtual table and making that available to Snowflake via a share. So let's create that virtual table. We'll go into Create Virtual Tables and create that virtual table. And I'm going to choose from the list some of the data views I had just created or ones that I had. I'm going to give this virtual table a name. In this case, I'll call it Windtopia. And I can determine whether I want to do interpolated data or stored data. And I can set at a time extending window or a fixed window. So you can say, I only want this time, or I want to start at this time and I want to keep going into the future. In this case, I'll do time extending. And then for time extending, you want to give it a refresh time. So, okay, update this value every hour, let's say. and you can go as low as 15 minutes for that. Now I'm going to create a share. I'm going to choose the share to be a Snowflake share. I'm going to give it a name and a token expiration time. And then I create that share. Now it's going to give me a set of information that's important to copy. And I'm going to use that when I create that connection from Snowflake over to Connect. So all I did was I copied that information that the UI gave me. I hit next, I hit save, and now I have my virtual table created and the share is created. And now I'm ready to go make that connection in Snowflake. And in the virtual tables, there's a tab where you can view job history, so you can see kind of how that virtual table is doing, make sure that it has good health, and see when it's ready to be shared. So that was it. Just a few clicks. Now let's go over into Snowflake and bring that data in and see what it looks like. So we're going to start by creating the catalog in Snowflake that's linked to this share. So here I am in Snowflake. I'm going to open my SQL statement. And remember that information that I got from when I created a share? I'm basically just going to copy some of that information over into this preformed query. It's going to have some addresses, some token information, just the way of connecting from Snowflake into Connect. And once I have all of that copied over, I can run this query, create the catalog, and create the database. So here I go. I'll hit run. I've got that linked catalog created. And then let me create that database. Perfect. Now let's go into the Database Explorer. And we can see that I've got my new database and catalog here. So I can drill down and see my tables, and I see that virtual table that I had created with that exact name. And I can basically see all of that data that was coming in from that data view with that virtual table now. So we've got our data into Snowflake, took a few clicks, no code, like I said. And we can really expand. But now what can we do in Snowflake once that data is there? So I have this example here, which is a Streamlit app that's hosted in Snowflake. And the fun thing about this is that it's working with data from my data view in the virtual table, but also bringing in data from other sources. So it's bringing in data from SAP. I've got data, like weather data, that's coming from Snowflake. I've got, on top of this, you can use Snowflake's Cortex AI, and that can query your Connect data just directly within Snowflake. So some example here, it's an interactive savings calculator. I can do kind of some what-if analysis, slide these variables, and it will basically calculate for me, in this case, in this example, some potential projected savings based on my truck data and based on the weather, like the wind speed, for example, that's happening right now. So I get that those predictions, and this is just the start of some of the things you can do in Snowflake, just as an example. We've got some other things to play around in here. So I'll wait until the demo gets there. You can see we've got all these forecasts. And we can do some graphing as well. So you can see we have this bar chart here showing that savings breakdown. And you'll see it will go up a little bit, and you can see, all of the different data sources that we're bringing in. So we've got AVEVA, we've got SAP, we've got Snowflake, we've got that weather data. And one of the cool things, like I said, is that we can use Cortex AI in Snowflake. So let's go to the bottom here and let's ask the agent some questions. And again, this is going to be the agent, and it's going to be using our data that's in Connect with a live connection and answering questions. So we can grab one of these pre-formulated questions and get some information from the AI about the data we've got here. So hopefully that gives you an example of some of the cool things you can do in Snowflake once you've got your data from Connect over there. Like I said, you can combine it with all sorts of different sources. Now, let's say you've done some cool stuff. Maybe you've got a forecast, or maybe you've got some modeling results that you want to bring back to the operations. How would you do that, right? So there's a few options. One option is, and this is a few of many options, I should say, but these ones are probably what I would consider two of the most common. So the first one is to use Connect flows. This is a new capability within Connect as well, and it's a no-code option that allows you to create a data pipeline. You can see I have the top image there is a flow chart going, okay, on an interval, we're going to grab some data from a Snowflake table and we're going to send it to Connect. And it's kind of as simple as that. It's just those 4 steps, and you can create a pipeline that can send data into your Connect data services and send all that forecast data back into a stream. You also have the ability to just write your own code to do this. So Connect has a bunch of APIs that are totally accessible, with OAuth connections. And so you could, if you wanted to write Python code to send to Connect Stream API, or maybe even the OMF API, you could schedule that as a stored procedure and task, or create a scheduled notebook, and you could bring that data back into Connect. And also, I should say, maybe you guys are interested in more of a hybrid architecture. There's ways to get data from Connect also back into your on-prem systems, like let's say the Pi system or AVEVA Historian, that kind of thing. So you could really do a full loop from down an on-prem system to Connect up into Snowflake, get some insights, bring it back down, and maybe the people in the operations or plant floor can get that insight. And so that's the end of my talk.